Moritz Fiege Bernstein.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. This is a beer from the Moritz Fiege Private Brewery, which is based in a place called Bochum, I think it's called. Bochum? Could be pronouncing that wrong, but it's basically North Rhine-Westphalia region, in between a place called Essen and Dortmund, in the Ruhr region. And this is their Bernstein. I've looked on their website and I can find absolutely no indication as to what kind of beer this is. It says it's an amber coloured beer and there's caramellig in it. Fucking hell, stop speaking, you twat. Caramellig and aromatisch. So caramelly and aromery. Fucking hell, that is not the translation. Do not fucking quote me on that. But that's basically what it's saying. So I'm assuming this is some kind of, maybe some kind of dunkel maybe? I don't know. It really hasn't made it clear. And there isn't really much information on the website. Well, there is, but there's a lot of flim flam. They don't give you a brew sheet on there. They do outline some of the hops that they use in their beer. They use Perla and they use Tettnang hops, Sapphire hops, and Hallertau hops, and they are all brought up from Bavaria. They go and meet the farmers and they bring them up to put into their beer. And never heard of this brewery before. This was given to me by my mate Norby. I've never heard of the brewery before, never heard of the beer before. It looked interesting, so I thought I would review it today. Now, as I say, I've got quite a few beers in that fridge now, and some of them I haven't even heard of. Some I have heard of, but I'm still going to review anyway. And there may be some in there that will hopefully surprise me. But for today, we are just reviewing this one. This is the Bernstein. I couldn't find out where the name came from either. Obviously, somebody's called Bernstein and they've named it after them. Brewery was founded in 1736, not 1836, 1736. And they've been going since then. It's funny, I was reading the history of the brewery and somebody, and this was testament to how popular their beer was, somebody called Dietrich von Stein, he wrote, I think in the 1700s, that the people of Westphalia were dumb oxen and they drink like beasts. And he was basically saying this is what they were like after drinking some of the beer from this brewery. So it was quite popular from its conception. They do a range of beers. As far as I can tell, they don't do an alt beer. It doesn't list it on there that I could see. I could be wrong, but I've not seen it on there. And most breweries in that region do an alt beer, but this one I don't think does. I didn't see it on there anyway. But it's an interesting brewery, as I say. They get all their hops from the Hallertau region and seem fit to tell you that, but don't actually tell you what hops go into the beer. Cheers for that. Come on, us beer geeks need this information. Brewers, please put it in there. Oh, heard a good bit of news today. Well, I'm sort of guarded with my enthusiasm on this, but the Skinner's Brewery look like they may have been saved. Now, it's gone into administration. This is the brewery that's based in Truro in Cornwall. I did make a few comments about this last year. They went into administration last year, but it looks like they found a buyer. I'm thinking it's probably the St Austell Brewery who are going to maybe nick a few of their recipes and add it to their range, but I don't know whether it's going to operate under the previous conditions that it was operating under, which is a shame. I'm hoping that Marston's haven't bought it, because you know what them fuckers will do to it. I'm hoping it's a local brewery. Now St Austell own most of the breweries down in the region of Cornwall and around there. To be honest, they're not a fantastic brewer. I did quite like some of the Skinner stuff. It wasn't bad, but yeah, the St Austell stuff, I'm not a huge fan. It's a bit bland for me. But that, I thought I'd fill you in on that information. This brewery, let's get back to them. They've been going since the 1700s, 1736, uninterrupted until, guess when, World War II. And in 1944, the brewery was completely destroyed, burnt, apparently. So it was obviously, I think, the result of an RAF night bombing. Now you have to remember where they are based. That is in the Ruhr region, which is basically the industrial heartland. If you can imagine the Black Country years ago, Birmingham, around there, where all the sheet metal factories and workshops were, that's basically Germany's workshop, the Ruhr, and that absolutely got flattened. So it's no surprise that there's only, I think, one brewery in a place called Munster out of 150 that have kept going, and it's always intrigued me. And there is a book there if anybody's that way inclined. I just simply don't have the time. But if I was in my geek mode like I was when I wrote my last book, that would be a fascinating subject for me. How many breweries were victims, how many German breweries were victims to the bombing, and how many survived, and the fate of all of them. I mean, it's a mammoth task to undertake, but and the readership, I would imagine, would be quite limited. But me personally, being the beer geek, I probably would enjoy every moment of the research on that. But I just don't have the time to do it, unfortunately. So please, if there's anyone out there with a spare lifetime, can you just do that for me? And that'd be grand. But yeah, they were flattened burnt out in 1944, basically destroyed. And it wasn't until 1947 that they actually managed to get back up and running, brewing beer. And then in 1949, the Allies actually put restrictions on breweries on how much beer they could produce, because obviously foodstuff was scarce. If you've not heard about the Berlin airlift, I mean, that's what the Russians did. I mean, fucking hell, what they did during World War II. I was reading it today, actually, that the Soviets actually executed wounded veterans who were on the streets because the anniversary parade, it wouldn't look good if you had maimed veterans walking around on the streets and stuff like that. And they used to call them samovars because a samovar is like a Russian teapot, so they maybe have one arm and one leg, and they would call them samovars. I think it's a tragic piece of history when you think all them Soviet soldiers that were fighting during World War II. And, you know, General Zhukov even made big claims to the Americans about how he'd march soldiers over minefields just to clear the way, and they'd be just basically human cannon fodder, literally. And then that's the thanks they get, because they're unsightly. They got executed. Yeah, tragic. I know I'm bringing the mood right down on a beer review, but yeah, it needs to be highlighted. The evils of communism, them commie bedwetters. But there you go. Anyway, let's reverse out of that cul-de-sac and let's get back onto this beer. This is a 500ml bottle. It's 4.7%. I really don't know what to say about this. There is no real description of it. They call it like a specialty brew. Bernstein, caramel, beer specialitat. So yeah, I'm imagining it's some kind of, possibly it could potentially be like a Czech pale lager. Sometimes they use them amber malts, which give it a nice caramel malt. Or is this a dunkel? I don't know. I really don't know. And that's about it, really. Yeah, it conforms to the Reinheitsgebot, Brauwasser, Gust Malt, Hopfen. That's about it. The sell-by date is July 23. So drink at 6 to 8 degrees, which I think it more or less is. Anyway, that's all you're getting, because the information on this isn't that big. But let's get it open. Let's see what's going on. Right, another flip top bottle. There you go. There you go, Lois. I thought that was going to fizz up for a bit. Now, they say to drink this in some Ponzi chalice, but I'm just going to whack it into this Hacker-Shaw Dirty Hacker-Shaw glass. Dirty. Dirty. It actually looks quite nice if you can get past the bubble sticking to the side of the glass. That's horrendous. Yeah. And for someone who's got a fucking video on about the importance of glassware, you should be ashamed of yourself, you fucking idiot. Alright, on the nose. Sweet malt. And that's about it, really. There's no real definitive hop aromas coming from this, but I'm wondering. Yeah, it's just really sort of grainy. I'm wondering whether this is going to be a good one or not. Again, as I say, there's no real description of what the beer is. It just looks like an amber lager. So before this head dissipates, let's check it out. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Oh, that isn't bad. That is not bad. The lack of aroma is deceptive, because there are some nice flavours in there. Would you believe I said bouquet in the last video that I did? And I think it's because I was drinking out of that Trois glass, and that's a French glass. This is the kind of shit they do. Subliminal messages. Better wear me tin hat. Let's dive in again. Nice. That's reminded me of a malty Bavarian pale lager. There's quite a bit of hop character on this. I wasn't getting any hop aroma, but there is quite a bit, and it's quite spicy. And if I didn't know better, I would think that there was some Sarts hops in there. I don't think there is. They don't make any mention of using Sarts hops in their, in their beer. But it sort of alternates between quite sweet malt, quite sweet caramel malt, like they do say on the bottle. But there's a fair amount of hop spiciness on this as well. And I'm wondering exactly what hop they've used in there, whether they've really gone for the bittering on this, because it has got a fair amount of spice. Finishes quite late. The spice sort of creeps up on you on the finish afterwards, and then there's a load of sweet, bready, almost biscuity type malt coming through on it. I quite like it. It's a little bit different. It does put me in mind of as I say, some kind of Czech pale lager with that bitter hop note on there, and also the amber malt in there as well. I mean, these are characteristics of Czech pale lager, and it certainly does. I mean, if you, to the untrained eye, that would look like, to me, in a glass, a Czech lager. It's very sort of orangey, and well, it's orangey. You fucking idiot! It's amber, not orange. It's quite nice. I think the main thing you can take away from this is its drinkability. That's quite nice. The flavour on there is okay. Don't get me wrong. You can pick up them notes of sort of bread bordering on biscuit type malt, and the bitter, spicy hop character that's coming through on there. But for me, the drinkability on this is what's winning me over. It's relatively full-bodied. There is some beef to it, but the flavours aren't big, I will say that. Yeah, nice. Unremarkable, but nice. So what's the verdict on Moritz Fiege Bernstein? It's not bad, I have to say. I don't think it's going to win any awards for flavour, but for drinkability, I think that's where it excels. There are vague, well, I don't say vague. There's moderate flavour in there. You're getting quite nice bready and biscuit malt, but there's also a little bit of spicy black pepper bitterness on there as well, and it does put me in mind a little bit of a Czech pale lager. Fucking dog's going mad next door. I don't know what's going on there, but the overall takeaway from this that I'm gonna leave you with is the drinkability. I could drink quite a lot of this, and at 4.7%, that's not a bad session ABV, to be honest. Yeah, I'm quite liking it. Yeah, no complaints, no nasties. The flavour profile just a little bit lacking for me. I'm saying that it's not really. It is there, but I would have preferred something just a little bit bigger, if you know what I mean. But it's still nice. I think that is a worthy 7.5 out of 10. It's good. I'm wondering whether this may be a little bit too cold, because there was a little bit more flavour coming through on there, but it's basically what I was describing before. I mean, so the flavours have grown a little bit. There's still that nice bitterness from the hops, the black pepper bitterness, and there's still that caramel malt and the, as I say, bready and biscuit malt on there too. Yeah, not bad. Quite like it. I think that's a worthy. I think it's a worthy 7 out of 10. If I don't know how easy this is going to be for you to get it. It's from North Rhine-Westphalia, part of Germany, and as you may or may not know, most of the online beer retailers, mainly, I'm not saying they all of them do, but mainly it's Bavarian stuff they sell. But if ever you're over in that region of Germany and you see some of this, I think this is worth a punt, definitely. And yeah, I quite like it. So 7 out of 10 is a fair mark. And remember, beer is working class champagne.